Hi guys, YSFlight here. I'm the coder and founder and developer for Orb for YSFlight, the proxy server service at current for YSFlight servers. So in this video I'm going to be discussing, what is Orb and what it does for YSFlight and why it makes it better. So before I start that, I'm going to get into the YSFlight side of things, and I'm going to discuss, how do clients and servers talk to each other. So the way they talk to each other is through what's called netcode. To us, it's how the clients and the servers send messages back and forth to each other. They send it through just binary, really, through the TCP IP protocol, which stands for Transmission Control Protocol and Internet Protocol. Now, the TCP IP works by verifying that the data sent between the server and the client and the server gets there in the right order, and it gets there complete, unbroken, bug-free. It's good for that. Everything's accurate. Bad for YSFlight. Why? Because let's say something gets lost on the internet, and things get lost on the internet all the time. Packets get lost all the time. It happens. What happens then? Well, the programmer that's the server or the client that sent that original packet has to send it again. First, they have to realize that, oh, their packet didn't get there. I have to send it again. So that can take, a second or two, and then yeah, they're going to send it again, which can take, maybe 200 milliseconds or whatever, and it adds up, because then for two seconds or so, you've got nothing happening on your server or client. It just freezes because it's waiting for data you could be receiving more data, but instead it's got to wait for it to all come in the right order, which I think is pretty pointless. What would be better if it was using a UDP protocol, which I don't know what it stands for and I don't know much about it myself, but I do know one thing about it, is that it doesn't use verification like TCP IP. It just sends it and hope it gets there. Good thing about that is that for things like flat data packets and other packets like YSFlight uses, it's good because it's quick. You don't have to worry about a flat data packet making it or not, because if it doesn't make it, who cares? You've got another one right behind it to, replace it. You drop a packet, who cares? Now the YSFlight data packet, it consists of a size, it consists of a type, and it consists of data. So this is just like, all sorts of other packets on the internet, like the HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol packets. Are much the same. They'll say this is the size of the packet, this will say this is what the packet has in it, and it'll also have the header. I said them in the wrong order, sorry, but yes, I'll have the size, the header, and the data. The header is going to have where it came from and where's it going to, and the data is going to be the internet data itself. So it's pretty similar. It's pretty similar to the way the internet works, and that's what keeps YSFlight accurate. Things YSFlight can do at the moment is you can join a server authentication, you can join and leave flights, you can talk to users, you can kill aircraft and ground objects, and you can ban IP addresses if you're the server owner. Pretty basic stuff. You can do a lot more. This is where Orb comes in. So Orb is a YSFlight server that allows for the extensions of the basic YSFlight server functions. So the way Orb is going to work is it's going to fit in between the client and the server. So the client connects to your server through the internet, so your data goes from your client through the internet, but it gets to Orb first before it gets to the server. So when it gets to Orb, Orb processes its data and works out what the hell to do with it, and then it sends it on to the YSFlight server. The YSFlight server then sends its reply, it goes to Orb, Orb needs to think about whatever it needs to send the reply or not, or what it needs to do with it, and then it sends it back to the appropriate client. You can think of Orb as sort of like a telephone exchange. Think of it like as your client is like a phone which is ringing a conference call, which is the server is the conference call itself. It connects to the internet, and it goes to your telephone exchange, which is Orb. Orb itself processes the signal from the phone call from the YSFlight client. It determines what to do with what it's saying. So, and then it patches what it's saying through to the server client. It's just like a guitar effects pedal, really, if you think about it like that as well. You can get a line going from your guitar straight through to your amp, or you can go from guitar through an effects pedal and through to your amp, and your effects pedal changes the input to the amp in some way. Now think of it as a two-way effects pedal, where it can change the input and it can also change the output. and that's what Orb pretty much does. Features of Orb 1.0 is it's going to have a data logger. I've already got this coded, it's already working. So what it does is it can log system messages. So if you add a user to a group, it'll add that. If you add a user to, if you change their rank within that group, it'll log that. If a user logs in, if a user logs out, it logs all these events that happen in your server. Another one is bug reports. Bug reports are important. I'm logging them in a very detailed fashion, so that way I'm not even going to say if, when you have bugs in the early stages of Orb development, you can identify where they've come from, why they've come from, and you can send me the report and I'll be able to fix it. The amount of detail I'm putting into these bug report generations, I should be able to solve most bug reports pretty quickly. I'd say I'd be able to solve most of them within 24 hours. Some of the harder ones I should be able to solve within 3 days. One last thing I'll be logging is chat logs. So people talking in the server, I'll be able to log the logs in specific files. I'll be logging the date, and within those files I'll be also logging the time, who said it, and what they said. It's just a little bit more than what the YSFlight server log currently does, but hey, anything helps. What makes Orb really stand out against it and YSFlight is it's going to have user tracking. So currently you log into a YSFlight server and the server, it just says, oh, you're a guy, I don't know who you are, but I'm just going to pretend that you're this person, this is your name, this is what you're identifying yourself as this time you're playing. Well, with Orb, I'm going to have it so you can log in to a specific user already on the database. So I can fly as, I can fly as Officer Flake on the server one day, and then I leave and I come back the next day and it remembers what I did yesterday. It says, oh, I flew 2 hours yesterday, and I fly again today, and oh, now I've flown a total of 3 hours. Things like that. So the users will be recognizable, and accounts can be logged into servers. I'm also going to have user groups, so such groups as CVW 171 or Hawaiian Airways Virtual Airline. Things like that will be able to be added to your server and recognized, so users can be added to the groups, and groups can have specific powers on your server, or that you can just have group certain people together, and that way you can tell whether or not someone's a part of the group or not. Users can have ranks within those groups as well. So say I'm Officer Flake, and say I've joined the group YSFlight Virtual Royal Australian Air Force on the server, and my rank on that server in that group is Air Chief Marshal. Boom! You've just pinpointed someone's group and their rank. What's good about this is they can have more than one group. You can't have more than one rank in that group one group. That's going to be a mess. But I'm going to have it say you can be a member of one group, and you be a member of another group and another group. So you can be a member of 2 military squadrons. Really doesn't discriminate. It's up to the squadron owners whether or not they want to discriminate against that. But it'll allow you to join infinite groups, theoretically infinite groups. What's going to make the Orb server actually do what it does is permissions. So permissions core is going to work by, for each user, it's going to read all of their groups. It's going to read the user's permissions. It's going to read the rank permissions for the user of that group. So you can get permissions from the user, you can get the group's permissions, and you can get the group specific rank permissions. So there's 3 different types of permissions there, and they all add up in a mathematical function to work out whether or not a user is able to do something or not. If a user is able to do something, it lets them do that. With permissions, it's going to be possible to do things like ban people from the server by username. It's going to be able to kick people. It's going to be able to mute people. It's going to be able to deny people to join the server, to join flight. It's going to be able to do many things. You're going to be able to hide from other users. The possibilities are endless there. It's just got to code it in, and there you go, and implement it. One last thing Orb 1.0 is going to have is it's going to have essentials. What is essentials? It's going to do things like commands, really. It's going to have things like private messaging from user to user. It's going to have group messaging from user to groups. It's going to have commands from the F12 chat messaging, so you can do like / blah blah promote user, so on and so forth, and it does that command for you. So that's going to make Orb 1.0 work, and that's going to mean that users can be added to and removed from groups on the fly. They can be promoted and demoted, and the result of these things is instantaneous, and the permission changes that they have are instantaneous. This allows you to moderate a server, admin a server, control a server directly from the Orb database itself. Lots of power in your hands. Orb 2.0 is going to take it a decent amount further. Remember that how Orb was a proxy service in between the client and the server? We're just going to get rid of the server entirely now. So Orb is going to be, at this stage, able to speak its own language now. It's going to know how to talk for itself. It's going to be smarter now. It's going to be able to think for itself to speak to a client. So it's going to be a standalone server at this point. Its features are going to be flight logging, like a YSFlight proxy service from Vincent Webb, developed a few years ago now actually. It's going to do just like that. It's going to log flights from the server, and it's going to submit them to a global independent server which concatenates all the Orb servers together, and you get the total data for a user there. So then users can get this information for themselves, and they can include that in forum signatures or displayed in other web pages, things like that. One big thing for Orb 2.0, just really going to make things fun, I think, is a weather environment. Like you can, with YSFlight proxy server by Vincent Webb, you can currently change, whether to make it night or day, or change the wind, things like that. But what I'm going to do with Orb 2.0 is I'm going to have an infinite loop, which constantly changes the weather little by little over time, and so it's sort of smooth. It's rather than a jump between, it's currently 5 knots wind to 40 knots wind. It's going to be like 5 knots wind, 5.05 knots wind, next step, so on and so forth. And eventually increases over time, so things are a lot smoother. I'm going to be able to do the same thing with the fog as well, so the environment's going to be very different. So consider that you've got a changing environment there, but then I've got to take it one step further again, and I'm going to have changing environment based on specific areas of the map as well. So this means that you could fly from one end of Hawaii, and the weather on one area it could be very different from the weather in the other end. It's going to make flying very, very different, because then you're going to actually have to plan ahead as to whether or not, is the weather going to be bad up there, or so on and so forth. And it's going to make things for military pilots, for VA pilots, everything's going to be a lot more fun. Server options are going to be able to change on the fly. The current console for Orb 1.0, when it's going to be finished, is going to be a text-based console. The console for 2.0 is going to be menu-based and button-based console. It's going to be a graphical user interface instead. So you could be able to press things like missile button, and that changes whether or not missiles are going to be enabled or not. It's going to be able to change whether day or night is enabled. It's going to be able to change wind based on what you choose. You're going to be able to change fog based on what you choose. You're going to be able to lock the server or unlock the server, depending which button you press. There's also going to be a graphical user interface for the database. Now, in Orb 1.0, you're going to need to code the database by hand, which is horrible. It's horrific. Orb 2.0, I'm going to be able to make it so you can make the database itself through the database program. This saves you a lot of hard work, and it's going to be a lot easier to use for everyone. So Orb 2.0 is going to be a lot more user-friendly than 1.0. Final thing is, I just mentioned before, is Orb's going to be able to run as its own standalone server. The way I'm going to be working that out is I'm going to be making my own fake packets and just seeing the effect of those on an Orb client, seeing what happens. And I'm also going to be on an Orb, listening to data between Orb clients and Orb servers, and just, changing something around again and see what happens, or just looking at it and seeing what happens. And yeah, with constant observance and changes and controls and stuff, eventually you'll work out which data type and which bit of a data type does what. And eventually, yeah, server capability will be possible. With Soji Yamakawa's help, the current developer and founder of YSFlight, I should be able to get this done a lot quicker than I hope. Orb 3.0 is going to be a whole new story again. Lots of new features are going to come out, and there's going to be a military core, which completely changes the way military works. It's going to work a lot like Battlefield 3 if you've ever played that. Airline core is going to work like a flight logging sort of VA control service, where pilots can earn money or lose money and stuff like that. It's going to be more, fund orientated. Aerobatics core is going to allow you to stream replays and stuff on YSFlight on the fly rather than restarting your server all the time, and it's going to be able to just show smoke to clients as well. I'm looking at changing the smoke color in flight just by entering a command. It should be doable. It should be doable. So I'll see how that goes in Orb 3.0. Air traffic control. I'm looking at developing a virtual air traffic control service, which tells you, which altitudes to fly at, which routes to take, so on and so forth. And that should be doable because I can already determine where an aircraft is and where it's facing. So just using that data alone is more than enough to work out, I need to travel this way, I need to travel that way. It's just a bit of coding for that one. Economy is going to be money-based oriented side of things, so military items, airline items, everything costs money, and you can make money by doing things, and you can lose money by doing bad things as well. Career mode, I'm going to have it so you can start off with nothing but some money, and yeah, you get your pilot's license from scratch by flying, you do 20 hours or so of online play, and hey, you're solo endorsed now, or so on and so forth. And it's really long, and it could be a really fun way of doing things. With your pilot's licenses and stuff like that, you can do licenses, and then you can join, airlines, and then you start making money again, or you can join the military and you start making money again, and then you can, buy more aircraft to fly privately outside of these airlines and stuff like that. It's going to be quite interesting to see how that goes ahead. One last thing, which is also going to be very interesting, is Commander mode. Like, if you've ever played Command and Conquer by Westwood, you can place objects and they cost money. And so squadrons and VAs can create their own airports on maps which are already done and developed. Create your own airport anywhere you want, really. And yeah, so it could be very interesting because let's just look at the military side of things. You create an airbase, God knows where, as long as it's feasible to create it there. I'll create restrictions and stuff on this. But if you can create an airbase there, you can create an airbase there, and yeah, you could have positional advantage on your enemy's air bases and stuff like that. Or who knows? Military side of things will change, and airline side of things will change. If you've got money to create an airport, you've got another hub to make money from. Who knows? So Orb 4.0 and beyond. I'm not sure if I'm ever going to add anything extra from there. I'll add whatever needs to be added as it comes. What I might do is make an Orb client, which will use UDP as I look into it, to make YSFlight net code faster. I think that's all I wanted to say for that. So I'm just going to ask, how can you help to develop this? Well, you can send a thank you message to Soji Nakala. He's the guy that makes YSFlight. His email address is on his website, and you can just send him a thank you because he is helping me out with the netcode here side of things. He's helping the project, and I think he deserves a thank you for it. You can offer your ideas to me via the Orb development thread. I'm going to list that in the description below the video there. If your idea is a particularly good one, I'll add it to the project and it will be implemented. You can provide your bug reports to me. I'm looking at developing an automatic send of bug reports as they occur to my email address, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, in the early stages of Orb, if you can send your bug reports to me by my email address or private message or whatever, very helpful. Mostly if the bug reports are very detailed, I think I already covered it, but I should be able to solve bugs pretty quickly to send me a bug report. Offer your support to me in the development thread as well. Say, I really like this new feature that you've added, or you're doing good progress. Things like that keep me motivated. They keep me on track, and I'll get things done quicker if you add your support for it. You can add to the project as well if you are a C# developer yourself. That's the language I'm using for Orb development at the moment. I'll be releasing a source code, and you can modify the source code however you like. And if you've got something particularly useful, I'd encourage you to give back to what I'm already giving you and provide some source code back. And yeah, we can share some source code, and if it's really good, I'll add it to the official source code of Orb. In turn, I'll also add you as a listed developer in the Orb project as well to the credits. One last thing, if you're not a developer at all, you can play YSFlight. You can jump on servers which run Orb, and you can encourage people to jump on those servers as well. People will learn about Orb that way, and they'll have a lot more fun online. You can also jump on normal vanilla servers as well. It doesn't really matter as long as people are online. That makes me happy because that means that online play keeps people in the community. in the end, the project here is to make your gameplay better. So do what you can to make this project succeed, and it will succeed. So I'm going to leave you with this, and I'm going to thank you for watching the video and dedicating your time to, you know, learning about your project. And thank you for playing YSFlight. Thank you for watching the video. I'm not going to ask you for your subscription or anything like that. You can if you want to. I don't really give a damn. I'm not really a subscription whore on YouTube. Music for these videos in the description as well. Please read that, and please follow the development threads on YSFlight forums. Thank you very much. See you online.